Hello, and thank you so much for tuning in. This is something that I've never done before, but as I'm recording this, we just finished up celebrating the 1 year anniversary of the MSing Link book as it was released in paperback format and ebook format on Amazon. And it's been such an exciting ride. When I started writing the book, I had no idea what impact it would have. I really just thought it was a good idea to put all of my expertise in one area that is written, not just virtual. The virtual option would be my online MS wellness program that is also called the MSing Link. But at the time, I didn't have anything written down. There was no handbook or guide or anything like that. So that's why I thought this book would be helpful. And gosh, I am blown away at how many people have gotten this book and how helpful they find it. So at this time, I believe I checked this was a few days ago, we've had 6,200 plus copies sold on Amazon. We've had 500 ish copies sold on audiobook and 312 copies of the ebook sold. And honestly, I thought maybe like 50 people would purchase this book. So it's just blowing my mind. It launched just over a year ago in the paperback and ebook, and then it launched in January of this year as the audiobook version. And I've been talking a lot about it because of the anniversary on my social media channels. And someone asked if I could read one of the chapters of the book on my podcast. And I thought that sounded like fun. So I polled my social media followers and I asked which chapter they wanted me to read. And the one with the most votes, it had like 160 votes, was the chapter, which, if you have the book or the audiobook, it's actually chapter 3. And it's called Neuroplasticity: How and Why You Can Gain Strength Even with a Progressive Disease. So I'm going to go ahead and read it to you. If you do have the book and you want to read along, I'm starting on page 33. That is the start of chapter 3. I just realized that's 333. I feel like that's an angelic number. I'm not sure exactly what it means, but I'll have to look it up after I record this. So I hope you enjoy it. Let's dive in. It's easy to doubt exercise's effectiveness since MS is a progressive disease, especially if you've exercised before and didn't notice much or any improvement. The lack of improvement could be due to several factors, such as performing the wrong type of exercise. But it is possible to get stronger, walk better, improve your balance, feel more energy, and so on. I'll outline exactly how to do this throughout this book, but it all starts with neuroplasticity. Neuroplasticity is the ability of our brain to strengthen your neural pathways and or find new neural pathways regardless of the level of demyelination. It's the reason that someone with a progressive disease like MS can get stronger and reach their goals. However, it takes consistency and time. To fully believe in your improvement, you must understand the nuances of neuroplasticity. When I ask my clients what must happen for a muscle to move, 9 times out of 10, they'll say, I have to flex my muscle. This is a common answer, and they're not wrong, but it's much more than that. Misunderstanding the process of how our brain works with our muscles can often result in exercising in the wrong way, leading to no progress. Two things need to happen for any muscle to move or flex. First, your brain must understand the required action. This occurs either by a reflex, such as you step on something sharp and reflexively you move your leg, or by an active thought where you tell your brain to move your leg. Let's use the example of bending our knees. Once you tell your brain to bend your knee, the second thing that needs to happen is our brain needs to send that message down several neural pathways leading down to the knee. The third thing that happens is the desired movement. In this case, the knee bends. Your knee won't bend if your brain doesn't think to bend and or if the neural pathways aren't working. The reason this three-part sequence is important is because when you focus on strengthening the neural pathways, this leads to muscle strength. However, when you have MS, the second part of the sequence, the neural pathway, is where the breakdown lies due to demyelination. So, even though you're telling yourself, bend my knee, if your neural pathways aren't strong enough, the muscle can't flex as much or at all. This is where neuroplasticity comes into play. What is neuroplasticity? Neuroplasticity is the brain's ability to get the neural pathways working or find a new neural pathway, regardless of the level of demyelination. This can be accomplished in two ways. One, strengthening the pathways that already exist but have been weakened. You'll know that your neural pathways are working if you attempt to move a muscle and it moves. You may notice the movement isn't as easy as it once was, but you do see movement. This means that all three parts of the sequence, the brain, neural pathway, and muscle, are working, but the neural pathway is struggling to produce a force strong enough to fully move your muscle without resistance. Neuroplasticity is the ability to strengthen this neural pathway so your muscle gains strength and endurance. Two, finding a brand new neural pathway. Using the example from above, if you attempt to move your muscle and you see no movement at all, this is a sign that your neural pathways have been demyelinated so much that it's not working at all. Neuroplasticity has the capability to rewire your brain and find new neural pathways for those pathways that have lost their ability to make a muscle move. Every time you attempt to move that muscle, your brain will attempt a new pathway to get from your brain to the muscle. There are millions, or who knows, maybe trillions of ways to get from point A, your brain, to point B, your muscle, via neural pathways. The only way to find one that works is by repetition, by practicing the desired movement over and over and over again. Do this even if, especially if, there's no movement in the muscle. Let's think of it differently so we can fully visualize what our brain is capable of doing. Picture yourself driving to the grocery store. Let's say you always drive the same way from your home to the store. Now imagine driving to the store and there is a roadblock, causing you to return home and try an alternate route. That route too has a roadblock. So you turn around and go back home, then attempt a different route. You'll repeat this until you find a way to get to the store. Or maybe you'll just order groceries from Instacart, but that's not the point here. Once you arrive at the store, even if the trip was rocky and uneven, you now know this back road option is available, and you'll continue to use it moving forward since your preferred route is closed. This road may have started bumpy. However, the more you travel this path, the smoother and easier the trip becomes. Simply practicing the right type of movements over and over again will strengthen the pathway from your brain to your muscle, which in turn strengthens your muscles. Don't give up. Every repetition matters, even if there is little to no movement in the exercise you're practicing. How long does neuroplasticity take? Neuroplasticity can happen for anyone with MS, regardless of your level of disability or the length of time you've had MS. I've had clients who have had MS for 37 plus years, and they were able to strengthen their muscles, walk better with less foot drag and tripping, and feel more confident. If you have demyelination from MS, and if you have neural pathways that aren't working, that's not the end of the game for you. It doesn't mean that you can't get stronger. Use the strategies in this book to create a plan of attack. You'll start to see and feel an improvement over time. Generally speaking, strengthening an existing neural pathway doesn't take as long as finding a brand new neural pathway. At this time, no research provides a protocol for neuroplasticity, meaning no guide says repeat each of your desired movements 50 times per day for 12 weeks, and that's when you'll start to see improvements in your strength and mobility. I've had some clients who will do these repetitions over and over and over again. And truly, within a few days, they notice their knee bending has improved. Many of my clients notice improvements in 3 months, 6 months, or 12 months. Remember, MS is a snowflake disease, but our brains are different too. Many factors play a role in how quickly clients find or create new neural pathways. Some we can control, others we can't control. This takes a lot of resilience. Your brain can find a brand new neural pathway, but it might require performing that movement or multiple movements for a year or a year and a half without seeing results. It's important not to associate the amount of movement with success. Rather, associate the amount of effort you put into each exercise with success. This way, it's easier to stay consistent for the long haul and you won't feel like a failure. More effort equals more opportunities for neuroplasticity. Another thing doctors don't know yet is the effectiveness of neuroplasticity in spinal lesions. There is a lot of research on the effectiveness of neuroplasticity for people with brain lesions. But there is little to no research on neuroplasticity for people with spinal lesions. It's been a life goal of mine to find this answer. In my medical journal research and from conversations with MS neurologists and researchers, the assumption is this. Since neuroplasticity occurs in those with brain lesions, it is likely to occur in those with spinal lesions. Additionally, there's no negative side effects to exercising with the goal of seeing neuroplastic changes if you have spinal lesions. Let's do the best and worst case scenario for a second. In the worst case scenario, exercise doesn't result in physical improvements, but you reap the benefits of exercise, such as feeling happy due to the surge of feel good hormones, endorphins, released in your body, and improved heart and brain health. In the best case scenario, your exercising improves mobility, increases strength, and inspires engagement in new and old activities. Ways to activate neuroplasticity. It's exciting that neuroplasticity is available to us, but it's even more exciting to increase the likelihood of it happening. I've outlined 5 of the most widely known concepts to get neuroplasticity working. 1. Focused attention. The more focus on an exercise or activity, the more likely you are to see improvements due to neuroplastic changes. With focused attention, you can create up to 1.8 million new connections per second. So, when you're exercising, avoid multitasking, including thinking about your next meal or completing the mile-long list of errands. Pay attention to the exercise so your brain can figure out how to make the desired movement happen. 2. Alertness. Play a game to stimulate your mind and focus your attention. Turn the exercise into a game and lift your leg high enough to tap your hand. Or do an exercise for the duration of the chorus of your favorite song. Maybe toss a ball back and forth with a friend or by yourself while maintaining a good sitting or standing posture. Take your brain off autopilot to stay alert. 3. Urgency. The more urgent a task, the more likely you'll see neuroplastic changes. A great way to build urgency into your exercises is to create some level of consequence. For example, if you're practicing balance, stand on an uneven surface with the consequence of stepping off the surface. Or you could score yourself with the consequence being losing the game. Urgency works well for people who are competitive with themselves, but it can work for everyone. Find a way to build urgency into your movements. 4. Novelty. One simple way to get your brain to pay attention is to try something new. For example, try writing with your non dominant hand. This will take much more focus and alertness than writing with your dominant hand. Making the brain try new activities drives neurologic change. Setting these four factors in place, focused attention, alertness, urgency, and novelty, creates the chemical conditions in the brain for neuroplasticity to happen. Once this occurs, the brain can begin to rewire itself. The more we prime our brain in this way, the more likely we are to see improvements in our mobility at a quicker rate. You can use one or a few of these factors in combination with your exercises, or you can use them during your break. For example, after you complete one set of each of your exercises, attempt to write your name with your non dominant hand, or take a break to play a 1 minute game of tossing a ball, or any game that makes you alert. Or between each set of exercises, practice a balance exercise where the consequence is to avoid stepping off an uneven surface. Always be safe with these games. You don't want to put yourself in a position where you lose your balance, fall, or injure yourself. 5. Salience. The more meaningful the activity is, the more likely your brain will create neuroplastic changes. The easiest way to accomplish this is to create meaning for each exercise. For example, this marching exercise will help me lift my leg higher, which means I won't trip as often during my walks with my husband and 2 kids. Or this balance exercise will allow me to bend down to the floor to pick up the dog food bowl and feed my dog without falling over. Take time to think about your goals and how these exercises can help you achieve them. Exercise guidelines to increase neuroplasticity in MS. 1. Aim for almost perfect quality. Having almost perfect quality is important. Your brain will strengthen the pathway for the movement you repeat. If repetitions are performed with poor form, your neural pathways will remember what you practiced and strengthen those pathways. This could significantly impact your quality of movement and may cause unsteadiness and falls. Good quality equals good neural pathways. You'll know if you are performing good quality exercises when you see the ideal movement. For example, sitting in a chair with both feet on the ground, lift your toes and forefoot up. Your foot should appear to be straight, not angled with one side of your foot rolling inward or outward. Similarly, when lifting your leg should lift straight up without your knee falling inward or outward. 2. Repeat, repeat, repeat. To increase your odds of strengthening or finding a successful pathway, you must practice consistently. The goal for every exercise is to perform many good quality repetitions. The number of times you practice is equivalent to the number of times your brain attempts to find that pathway. Now, you may be thinking, how am I supposed to do as many repetitions as I can, but also have good quality? I'm going to get tired. You're right. And this point brings me to my next guideline. 3. Rest. Take as many rest breaks as needed. When you have MS, the goal shouldn't be to perform each exercise 10 times in sets of 3, like we are taught when growing up. You can set a goal of 30 good quality repetitions, but that may take 7 sets of various repetitions, assuming you're fatigued as you complete more repetitions. For example, your first set is 10, but due to fatigue, your second set might be 6. Your third and fourth sets might be 4 repetitions. Your fifth and sixth sets could be 3 repetitions, and that's okay. Neuroplasticity doesn't require a bunch of exercises all at once, but it does need the cumulative amount to be a high number. 4. Choose a duration. Would you believe me if I told you research suggests exercise is equally effective if you exercise throughout the day or all at once? It's true. Professor Marie Murphy of Ulster University found this to be true in her 2019 meta analytic review. This means if you have the time and preference to exercise for 20 to 60 minutes all at once, go for it. However, if you don't have the time, energy level, or preference to exercise all at once, you'll still benefit from fitting it in throughout the day. One idea is to associate breaks with one exercise. This way, you can pick an exercise and perform good quality repetitions within 5 minutes while taking rest breaks. Then, later in the day, do the same thing, but without a different exercise. By the end of the day, you will have completed 4 to 7 exercises. 5. Exercise in different settings. Research shows you're more likely to feel and see improvements in various situations and environments, i.e., you're walking better in your home as well as in the grocery store, if you practice exercising in multiple locations. One easy way to do this is to practice exercises in different rooms within your home. Perhaps one day you exercise in the kitchen. Then the next day, exercise in the bedroom. The following day, the living room, and so on. Take this even further by practicing some of your exercises outdoors, i.e., walking, seated exercises sitting on a rollator, etc. You could also do your exercises in your car, at a friend's house, and at work. Get creative. One of my MSing Link members and clients, Diane, had a goal to improve her strength when standing up, while also trying to plop down less often. I suggested specific exercises to strengthen her leg and core muscles, in addition to practicing standing up from a chair and sitting back down with control. She was consistent with her exercises and did a phenomenal job. Her husband attended a session and said, "Dr. Gretchen, I don't know what magic you're doing in this clinic, but Diane can stand up and sit down perfectly when she is here with you. But as soon as we get home, she can't do it." As soon as he said that, I remembered the benefits of exercising in different settings. We immediately started performing the exercises in other rooms within the PT clinic, the lobby, other offices in the building, and even outside on a bench. Within 1 month, she was able to perform this movement at home with much more control and strength. Both Diane and her husband were extremely happy. 6. Choose a plan. According to the National MS Society, 150 minutes per week is the desired amount of exercise to reap the benefits. Further, MS exercise guidelines from the National Center on Health, Physical Activity, and Disability suggest people with MS should exercise 5 to 6 days per week. This means exercising 5 days a week for 30 minutes per day, or 3 days a week for 50 minutes, and so on. This can be cumulative or all at once. To take this a step further, research suggests switching up the type of exercise and the order of your exercises. Don't always start and end with the same exercises. Mix it up. 7. Do cardio first. A study called Exercise-Induced Neuroplasticity, led by researcher Jenin L. Saez from McMaster University in Ontario, Canada, found that performing cardio exercises before functional strengthening exercises will prime your brain for neuroplasticity, meaning you're even more likely to find and strengthen neural pathways if you do cardio exercise first. This is newer research, multiple studies published in 2018, 2019, and 2020, so we don't know the exact guidelines yet. No protocol says cardio needs to be X minutes long at Y intensity level to be effective. I guide my clients to perform any amount of cardio they can tolerate. I suggest using your arms for cardio instead of your legs. This way, you won't exhaust your legs before the leg strengthening exercises. Some of my favorite cardio movements are sitting up tall with good posture while swinging your arms next to your body as if you're running for 1 minute. Then do overhead jumping jacks with just your arms for 1 minute. And then end with punching your arms forward for 1 minute. This will get your heart rate up in no time. Key takeaways. 1. Neuroplasticity is the ability of our brain to strengthen neural pathways and find new neural pathways. 2. Strong neural pathways lead to strong muscles and improved mobility. 3. Neuroplasticity can happen for anyone with MS, regardless of your level of disability or the length of time you've had the disease. 4. There are specific ways to exercise to activate neuroplasticity and make it more likely to occur faster. 5. If you attempt to move a body part, i.e., your ankle, and it doesn't move, this is not an excuse to skip the exercise. Instead, it's a reason to prioritize that particular exercise. Give your brain a chance to find a new neural pathway by repeating the exercise, even with no movement. 1 repetition equals 1 bout of effort. 6. Have hope. Research shows it's possible. Resources. The MSing Link podcast episodes. Episode number 3. What is neuroplasticity? Episode number 96. How long does neuroplasticity take? Episode number 99. Aerobic exercise and neuroplasticity. And I suppose we can now add this episode to it as well, since we just finished that chapter. It was so fun writing this book. And if you don't have the book, as I've mentioned, it is available in paperback, ebook, and audiobook. I'll put the link down in the show notes where you can access any of those versions of the book if you're interested. And I also have a full course online about neuroplasticity. So I'll put the link for that in the show notes as well. Thanks so much for tuning in. Have a great day.